Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Emily and you're watching English Anytime. Today, I want to share a story that I believe will help you on your English journey, something personal that I know many of you can relate to. Back in 2020, I received an email from one of my students that really made me stop and think. She was frustrated and discouraged after receiving a comment from a coworker who said, "You don't sound very friendly in English." My student was shocked. She felt like she was always polite, friendly, and respectful in English, especially at work. So, when she heard that feedback, she was left feeling confused and unsure about what she was doing wrong. She reached out to me for help, wanting to understand why she was being misunderstood and how she could change it. At that moment, I realized that this wasn't just her issue. It's something that many non-native English speakers face. You might feel like you're being polite and friendly, but your words and tone might come across in ways you didn't intend. That's exactly what I want to address in today's lesson. I'm going to share 4 strategies with you that can help you sound more polite and professional in English, so you can express yourself clearly without sounding too direct or harsh. Before we jump into the strategies, I want you to keep 2 important points in mind. 1. Being assertive can be polite. There are situations where being assertive and direct is not only acceptable but necessary. It doesn't make you rude. You can absolutely be assertive while still maintaining politeness. I'll be talking more about this in another lesson. 2. Language is flexible. The way we speak changes depending on the situation, the person we're talking to, and even how we're feeling. Some of us are naturally more direct, while others tend to be more indirect. And that's completely fine. My goal today is to give you the tools to be flexible in your language so that you can express yourself in the best way for any given situation. Now, let's dive into the 4 strategies I believe will help you sound more polite and professional in English. Let's get started. Strategy 1. Use modals to soften your language. One of the simplest and most effective ways to sound polite in English is by using modals. Modals like could, would, might, and should can help soften your language and turn a direct statement or question into a polite request. For example, let's say you're at a coffee shop with a close friend or family member. You might casually say, "Order me a latte." It's clear, direct, and appropriate for a casual setting. However, if you're at work with a colleague you don't know well, saying, "Order me a latte" could come across as too direct or even bossy. In such situations, it's better to soften your request by using a modal. For instance, you could say, "Would you mind getting me a coffee, please?" Or, "Could you please order me a coffee?" This small change in how you phrase your request not only makes it sound more polite, but also shows respect and consideration for the other person. Similarly, when you need to ask a colleague to send you a document, you might say, "Send me the document by the end of the day." This is direct and to the point. However, to make your request sound more polite, you could say, "Could you send me the document by the end of the day?" Or, "Would it be possible for you to send me the document by the end of the day?" As you can see, modals are a simple yet powerful tool to soften your language and make your communication sound more polite and professional. So, next time you need to make a request or ask something, remember to incorporate modals like could, would, might, and should to maintain a polite tone. Strategy 2. Change your grammar for more indirect language. Another easy way to make your English sound more polite is by adjusting your grammar. Specifically, you can shift from the present simple tense to the progressive tense or past tense to make your language sound more indirect. For example, if you're asking your colleague if they have time to meet tomorrow, you might say, "Do you have time to meet tomorrow?" While it's polite, it's also quite direct. To make it sound more formal and polite, try saying, "I was wondering if you had time to meet tomorrow," or "I wondered if you had time to meet tomorrow." By switching to the past tense, you soften the tone, making the question sound more indirect and respectful. Here's another example. Imagine you meet someone for the first time at a conference and you didn't quite catch their name. You could ask, "What's your name again?" It's fine for informal situations, but to make it sound more polite, you could say, "What did you say your name was?" This slight change makes your question more formal and courteous, even in a casual setting. By incorporating these small grammar changes, you can make your language more polite and professional. Shifting tenses helps to create a softer, more considerate tone, which is especially important in formal or business contexts. It's an easy and effective strategy to improve your English and ensure you sound polite and professional in your conversations. Strategy 3. Use vague language to soften your tone. Sometimes, being too direct can make you sound harsh or even rude. To avoid this, you can use vague language to soften your tone and make your message sound more polite. Words like a little, kind of, slightly, not quite, or a bit are great tools for this. For example, imagine you're in a conversation where someone misunderstood you. Instead of saying, "That's not what I said," which can come off as blunt, you could say, "That's not quite what I said," or "That's not exactly what I meant." These small adjustments make your response sound gentler and more diplomatic, showing you're trying to understand the situation without sounding accusatory. Here's another scenario. Let's say you're reviewing a project with your team and the result isn't what you expected. Instead of saying, "This isn't what I wanted," which could sound critical, you could say, "This isn't exactly what I had in mind." The shift in wording softens your message and makes it more polite while still conveying your thoughts clearly. Using vague language doesn't mean you're being unclear or avoiding the issue. It simply shows you're being more tactful and considerate in how you express yourself. This strategy is especially helpful in professional settings where maintaining positive relationships and respectful communication is key. By making small changes in your language, you can ensure you sound both polite and professional without sacrificing clarity. Strategy 4. Use negative questions for diplomatic language. Negative questions are a powerful and subtle tool that can help you express suggestions, recommendations, or opinions in a more polite and diplomatic way. They allow you to soften your language and make your point sound less direct or forceful, which is especially useful in professional settings where maintaining a respectful tone is important. For example, imagine you're in a meeting discussing a product, and you want to suggest that the team review the documents one more time. Instead of saying, "We need to review these documents one more time," which can come across as an order, you could ask, "Don't you think we should review these documents one more time?" This shift to a negative question makes your suggestion sound less like a command and more like a collaborative idea. It opens up the floor for discussion without sounding too authoritative. Here's another example. Suppose you're in a meeting where the team is discussing budget cuts. If you want to propose cutting the marketing budget, instead of saying, "We need to cut our marketing budget," you could ask, "Shouldn't we cut our marketing budget?" This turns the direct statement into a more polite, indirect suggestion. By asking a negative question, you create a more open and diplomatic atmosphere where others feel invited to share their opinions and contribute to the decision-making process. Negative questions help make your language sound more thoughtful, less demanding, and more respectful. It's a subtle but effective technique to use in any situation where you want to sound professional, courteous, and considerate. Putting it all together, practicing polite and professional English. As you practice these strategies, it's important to keep in mind that politeness and professionalism in English aren't about speaking perfectly, they're about being thoughtful and considerate with your words. It's about adjusting your tone to fit the situation and the person you're speaking to, whether you're engaging with a colleague, manager, client, or even a friend. When you focus on being polite, you'll realize that it's not just about the choice of words, but also about the way you present your ideas. It's about respecting the other person, showing that you value their time, and conveying your message without sounding too harsh or too casual. It's essential to recognize when to shift your language, and the more you practice, the more naturally these adjustments will come. For example, you may find yourself in a meeting or giving a presentation where you want to assert your point, but instead of sounding aggressive, you'll be able to express your thoughts diplomatically. You'll notice that using modals like could or would, changing your grammar tense, or using negative questions to soften your suggestions helps you sound more professional and approachable. With consistent practice, these strategies will become second nature. You'll begin to feel more confident in your ability to communicate clearly and respectfully, whether in formal or informal situations. Being able to adjust your language based on context not only improves your communication skills, but also helps build better relationships with your colleagues and peers. The key takeaway here is that language is about connection. Polite, professional English isn't about being rigid or overly formal. It's about fostering positive, respectful conversations that help you navigate different social and professional settings. Whether you're discussing a project, asking for feedback, or making a request, these strategies will ensure that you communicate in a way that is both effective and respectful. By incorporating these techniques into your everyday English practice, you'll start to see improvements in your interactions and overall communication style. You'll be able to express yourself more clearly, build stronger professional relationships, and feel more confident in any situation. Keep practicing, stay patient with yourself, and remember, communication is a skill that gets stronger with time. Your challenge: put these strategies into action. Now that you've learned some great techniques for sounding more polite and professional in English, I want to challenge you to put them into practice. Choose one of the strategies I've shared today and try it out in a real conversation. Whether it's using modals to make a request more polite, changing your grammar to soften your tone, or employing vague language to keep things diplomatic, remember, practice is the key to improvement. If you're not sure where to start, I have a simple challenge for you. Think about an upcoming conversation you'll have in English, whether it's with a colleague, your boss, or a friend. How can you apply one of these strategies to make your language more polite and professional? Here's an example of how you might use these strategies. Modals. You could use modals to ask your colleague for help more politely. Instead of saying, "Send me the report by 5 p.m., try saying, "Could you send me the report by 5 p.m., please?" Grammar change. If you want to sound more indirect and polite, try changing your grammar. Instead of saying, "Do you have time to meet today?" you could say, "I was wondering if you had time to meet today." Vague language. If you're not happy with a suggestion at work but want to keep things polite, instead of saying, "I don't like this," you could say, "This isn't quite what I had in mind." The more you practice using these strategies in real-life situations, the more natural they will feel. So take action and start making small, positive changes in how you communicate in English today. Final thoughts: keep practicing, keep improving. Polite and professional language isn't just for native speakers, it's something that anyone can master with practice and the right mindset. By using these 4 strategies, modals, grammar changes, vague language, and negative questions, you'll find yourself sounding more respectful, approachable, and professional in any situation. Remember, sounding polite doesn't mean you have to be overly formal or stiff. It's about knowing how to adjust your tone, making your language match the situation and the person you're speaking with. With a bit of practice, these strategies will become second nature, and you'll feel more confident in your ability to communicate effectively in English. I hope today's lesson gives you the confidence to communicate more professionally and politely in English. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends or colleagues who could benefit from it. I'll see you next time for another lesson. Keep practicing, keep improving, and most importantly, keep speaking confidently.